tonight, Ontario going back into lockdown.
I'm very, very concerned to see the cases go up. I'm very concerned to see the ICU capacity.
The Ford government is set to bring back lockdown restrictions across the province as ICU admissions hit a record high. We'll have the latest. Plus,
right now, we need to get shots in arms to the most vulnerable as quickly as possible.
Toronto is asking the Ford government to allow the city to begin vaccinating those as young as 60 years old. And
I'm usually like this, very short of breath and a lot of chest pain.
they're known as long haulers, those who contracted COVID-19 and are still suffering debilitating symptoms long after, why they're having trouble getting the help they need. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. We begin with breaking news. Ontario is going back into a province-wide lockdown. According to multiple sources, the Ford government will be announcing tomorrow its plan to activate an emergency brake with renewed restrictions beginning this weekend. Lauren Pelly joins us live now from Queen's Park with the latest. Lauren, what can we expect next?
Well, our sources told us that Cabinet decided today that all of Ontario, as you said, will be going into the gray zone for 28 days starting this Saturday. But while this may be called a lockdown, some of these restrictions might not be as tough as you would expect. What we've learned is that we will not have a stay-at-home order this time around. Non-essential retail stores will be permitted to open, but with occupancy capped at 25%, while essential retail outlets, that's things like grocery stores, may be limited to 50% occupancy. Some outdoor activities such as golf would be permitted, though indoor fitness facilities and personal care services such as hair salons are likely going to be closed. Now, it's also looking likely that school will continue as normal next week until the planned spring break on April 12th, and there's no decision yet on what will happen after that point. Kelda?
Now, Lauren, this will be the second time this year that all of Ontario is in some kind of lockdown. What led to this point?
Well, there are so many factors right now. Medical experts for weeks were warning that we would be hitting this third wave of cases and that action would be needed to curb it. Now we're seeing the third wave is here. ICU admissions have hit a new record high. The number of COVID-19 patients in critical care all at once, while more transmissible and more deadly variants of this virus are circulating. Earlier today, I spoke to an ER physician in Toronto who knows a little bit about what it's like on the ground in an emergency department. Take a listen.
It has been a bit more of a just what you consider the general population, ages 20 to 60, 20 to 70, healthy, some comorbidities, but certainly it has been more just like if you just walked down the street and just picked random people.
And Lauren, with these younger adults getting ill, we also learned today about a push to vaccinate more of those populations.
That's right. In certain regions like York and Peel, they're looking at vaccinating people as young as 65 now. And Toronto officials are calling to be allowed to vaccinate adults as young as 60. But this is all happening as others are saying we can't forget about our older seniors, many of whom still aren't vaccinated against COVID-19. Sometimes Toronto vaccination sites are bustling like this. And other times, like around 5:30 p.m. today, they're a barren wasteland.
We have asked the province to lower the eligibility age for people who could come to those sites and register on the provincial system in the City of Toronto to 60 years old.
Toronto's new plan to give more people access has the province's support.
Right now, we need to get shots in arms to the most vulnerable as quickly as possible. That is how we save lives.
But others say what is also crucial is bringing doses directly to communities and into the homes of Ontario seniors who can't easily leave.
But we cannot forget the people who we have overlooked in the upper age groups.
A report out tonight from Ontario's COVID-19 Science Advisory Table recommends bringing vaccines directly to people's homes in order to reach the province's more than 75,000 homebound seniors.
A lot of people may want to be vaccinated, but simply cannot get to a clinic. And it's not a matter of convenience, it's a matter of impossibility.
The report notes there are efforts underway to deliver vaccines, but the table calls for those to be scaled up. And a more equitable approach is overdue, says this physician advocate.
If we don't look at things through a health equity lens, what it means is that people will be left out. People in the hardest hit communities will get sicker.
So Lauren, what's the recommendation for actually reaching seniors who are largely still stuck at home?
Well, the science table was saying that could be done through connections made by family physicians or community support workers. It could also be giving seniors an option when they're trying to book an appointment to say that they need in-home assistance. And all of this, I should say, is a good reminder for all of us to check on the seniors in our lives. Now that we're entering another lockdown, people might need support. And if they're trying to access vaccination services, it's a good time to see if anyone needs a ride or some assistance in trying to figure out how to book an appointment. Kelda?
Definitely a good reminder. Thanks so much, Lauren. That was our Lauren Pelly reporting live for us from Queen's Park tonight. And meanwhile, the province's education minister has confirmed spring break will go ahead. Stephen Lecce says he also wants to see kids return to class after their break in April. But with more schools closing this week because of COVID-19 outbreaks, educators aren't feeling confident that will happen. Ali Chiasson has more.
While the education minister says we are sticking to the plan,
our intention is to proceed with the April break.
Principals and teachers are being told by their school boards to be prepared to pivot back to online learning in case the call is made.
Whether remote learning is needed around the Easter break or around the April break, that kind of thing, we really do have to defer back to the province and public health officials.
As of today, 63 schools in Ontario are closed because of COVID outbreaks. The Toronto District School Board has closed 6 schools this week, while the Toronto Catholic District School Board has closed 5. Most are in North York, most are elementary schools.
I had a strong feeling earlier, like during the third wave, school gonna close, and then we received a letter like, yes, it's closed.
It's the second time Thorncliffe Park Public School has been closed. The Wakar family says it doesn't get any easier.
We like the consistency. We don't like going back and forth again and again.
Parents and kids are waiting in a third wave of uncertainty.
What do you like about your school?
That I can make lots of friends.
Today I also spoke with the spouse of a teacher in Peel Region.
She's a position that moves around to a number of classrooms.
His wife is concerned for her job in case she's identified after speaking out, so we granted him anonymity as well. He's worried about her returning to work, considering what happened when she was back to class after the winter break.
In that first week, 6 individuals in her school, including her, contracted the virus, and the rest of us in the house also got it. It was the UK variant, highly contagious, okay? And thankfully, everybody is okay, but I mean, it could have been really bad.
Stephen Lecce was peppered with questions today about when education workers would be vaccinated.
They are prioritized in phase 2,
which begins in April. Minister Lecce says for now there's no plan for regional closures, just that students and staff will return to safer schools after the April break, with expanded testing and other measures.
Go to a 1 symptom screener, where any 1 symptom those children have to stay at home. Over the break, schools will be deep cleaned.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
A vaccine manufacturing plant is coming to Toronto. It's a huge investment, close to $1 billion. It won't help for this pandemic, but it's hoped it will help in fighting future ones. Lorena Redekop has more on this big announcement.
Close to $1 billion is being invested here for a new facility to produce flu vaccines. The goal is to have it up and running in 5 years, so it won't help during COVID-19.
If there's one lesson learned from the current COVID pandemic, it is that we need to have a strong Canadian biomanufacturing sector.
The aim is to solve the issues of no vaccine manufacturing in Canada.
We are now never going to have to rely on any country, any leader. We'll be self-sufficient.
It's a collaboration between Sanofi Pasteur, a giant in producing flu vaccines, and all levels of government. The total investment, $925 million. Sanofi will also create more than 1,200 highly skilled jobs, train 350 co-op students over the next decade, and invest $79 million a year in research and development.
Being prepared from a biomanufacturing perspective, it's not a short-term project, it's a long-term project, and there's many puzzle pieces that fit together. And today is a very important piece of the foundation.
The next pandemic, I would hate us to be as unprepared as we were for this one.
This retired Sanofi executive says this announcement is a win for Canada. And while we can't predict what's coming, he says the flu is the most common pandemic.
This is a good move because we got at least something that we know is going to come. We got that covered now. But it also can be used for other purposes.
Among those purposes, he says the filling and packaging process can slow down vaccine production. So to have this facility here could allow partnering with other companies, getting any vaccine into Canadians' arms faster, not just flu vaccines. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Transit in the west end of the city is looking a little different as construction begins on Roncesvalles Avenue.
The City of Toronto and the TTC are coordinating on a significant piece of work that's happening at that intersection. The city's got a number of projects in the area, and it really makes sense for us to piggyback onto their work so that we're doing this in a coordinated way and trying to minimize disruption as best we can.
The construction is happening at the intersections of Roncesvalles and Queen, King, and the Queensway. Along with city repairs, the work will update track and overhead work for the TTC. It will impact transit service in those areas until November. The 504 King and the 501 Queen route will be divided into different sections with buses serving some parts of Queen West. For more information on the different routes, you can head online to the TTC's website. City crews are working to fix a major sewer collapse near the University of Toronto's downtown campus, and it's going to have a significant impact on traffic in the area for some time. The collapse of the more than 100-year-old sewer caused a huge sinkhole to form at the intersection of College and Beverly. Crews are working around the clock to make the repairs, but College Street from McCall to Huron could be fully closed for as long as 8 weeks.
I spent the majority of the year thinking I was going to die.
COVID-19 long haulers say the system has forgotten about them and they can't get the help they need to recover. We'll have that story after the break. Plus,
a shot of colder air is moving in and even some flurries. I'm meteorologist Colette Kennedy. We'll take a look at that, plus the holiday weekend forecast coming up.
cloudy this evening with a few clear breaks, and temperatures will continue to fall as we get into the overnight. Currently 4 degrees downtown, but feeling more like -1. Let's go now to our meteorologist, Colette Kennedy, for a look at the forecast. And Colette, temperature is cooling down a little bit today, but nothing like what it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, we're in this kind of pattern here. That's right, Kelda, where yesterday 20 degrees. This is kind of our transition day, and then the colder air in place tomorrow. But really, it's only for about a 36-hour period or so. So we can all handle that, right? So here's your cool down coming. It's accompanied with some flurry activity. High pressure, though, moves in for Friday, and that means sunshine, a good way to start off the longer holiday weekend. But we do have a slight chance for some showers on Saturday. Primarily, I think we'll see a little extra cloud cover on that day, but the risk will be there. I have to show you the progression of our temperatures, okay? Because this is 1 a.m. Remember, yesterday's high was just over 20 degrees. At 1 a.m., we were still at 17 in Toronto. And then as of 7 a.m., were you up early? Yeah, still 14 degrees. It was very pleasant between 6 and 7 o'clock. And then watch, in 1 hour, what happened? That temperature cut in half as the cold front went through. The winds changed from southwest to northwest, and boom, that temperature went down. It eventually went down to 6 degrees before coming back up in the afternoon to 10. So never mind spring being a roller coaster ride. We've had a ride just within this one day when it comes to the weather. Here's that flurry activity then I mentioned north of us, but see how it's kind of migrates down here by tomorrow morning. Some scattered flurries certainly possible around the Golden Horseshoe, mostly the early part of the day, and then that moves to the south of us. We get into that high pressure, so the clearer skies for tomorrow night, so some cool temperatures, but there's that high pressure giving us that sunshine into Friday. A look overnight at southwestern Ontario. Here, a little bit of light accumulation. It's possible up to a couple centimeters. Now, Sarnia, with some flurries continuing there for tomorrow, you could see another couple of centimeters added in. Elsewhere, we'll see things drying out. But look at that temperature, just struggling to get a degree or two above freezing. Tonight, we'll see those temperatures in the negatives around the Golden Horseshoe. And tomorrow, also a struggle. Markham, you probably won't make it above freezing, and we may get to 1 degree for Toronto in terms of what we're looking at. Good Friday, 4 degrees. The temperatures start to go in the other direction, moving upwards. Saturday, that slight chance of seeing some showers. And then as we look ahead into Easter Sunday and Monday, both days will give the couple 12 degrees for the high on each, and also some nice sky conditions, Kelda. Nice to see.
I like that. Thanks so much, Colette.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
They are called COVID long haulers, those who contracted the virus and are still suffering debilitating symptoms months later. And as our Nicole Ireland reports, they're having trouble getting the help they need to recover.
This is Kim Clark before she was infected with COVID-19 last April. Her symptoms were relatively mild, then everything changed.
I'm usually like this, very short of breath and a lot of chest pain, a lot of chest pain.
Clark suffers from post-acute COVID-19 syndrome. Known as long haulers, patients like her continue to have symptoms, often severe, for months.
It kept sort of moving around my body. I spent the majority of the year thinking I was going to die.
Sonia Malley was a tattoo artist before she got COVID last March. For 5 months, she couldn't get out of bed or stand on her own. She also suffered extreme heart palpitations, then confusion and memory loss. But Malley was sure she'd at least be able to complete the drawing section of a neurological exam.
They asked me to draw a clock, and I could not remember how to draw a basic clock. I had no idea how badly my cognitive function had been affected.
Researchers estimate that between 10 and 30% of people who get COVID-19 will go on to develop long-haul illness. What they don't yet understand is just how COVID damages so many parts of the body. What they do know is that people with long-haul COVID need treatment and rehabilitation to deal with their many symptoms. Kim Clark and Sonia Malley have gone from specialist to specialist trying to get help with very little luck. They get most of their information from other long haulers in this Facebook support group. But there is hope. They've registered to be part of a national study of COVID-19 long haulers called CanCove.
The long COVID issue or the lingering symptoms issue is going to be an ongoing issue. It's not going to disappear when the pandemic settles.
But there's only room for 2,000 patients across Canada in this study. That's why the lead investigator is asking the government to help fund specialized clinics for long-haul COVID patients.
We need a sort of coordinated approach to this across Ontario.
There was no mention of COVID long haulers in the recent Ontario budget. In an emailed statement to CBC News, the Ministry of Health said hospitals can work with their local health integration networks and choose to fund clinics out of their global budgets. Nicole Ireland, CBC News, Toronto.
When we come back, finding new friends in uncertain times.
I have formed a crew that I call family and that I know are going to be my friends for the rest of my life.
The beginning of the pandemic is connecting with others like her from all over the world. That story after the break. Welcome back. A woman who moved to Canada at the start of the pandemic says she's thriving thanks to an international group of friends that she made online, many of them also newcomers. Jessica Ng has this story of new friendships at the most unexpected time.
Because I was really curious, you were from Toronto. Marushka Nair is spending time with her new friend group. Like the 28-year-old, most of the others are also new to Canada, coming from Italy, Peru, the Bahamas, and Mexico, just to name a few.
Every girl in our crew really appreciates how well this has worked out for all of us. And we're like a family.
In March of last year, Nair transferred from Dubai to Toronto for work. At the time of the move, she says she didn't know anyone here, and any hopes of meeting coworkers went out the window with the pandemic.
When you move at such a late stage in your life, it's hard to make friends if you don't move for school, right? So I resorted to Bumble BFF to just kind of see what it's really about. I'd never used it before.
She says she heard about the social platform through friends and wanted to connect with others during the pandemic for her own mental health.
That's when I was like, I need to form a group and do this to see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, well, at least I tried.
And the experiment paid off.
It's always best to compare with the others, like what they're getting in terms of deals and even just scams, because there's a lot of scam going around.
Trading advice, celebrating holidays, and sharing milestones. She connected with people like 33-year-old Nisha Yalpale. Yalpale is also from Mumbai and moved to Toronto before the pandemic.
This is like a major support system, and you need anything. If like one person is not available, there is going to be someone else, at least someone who will be there to help you out.
Hi. Nair says she hopes to continue expanding the group to include more cultures.
I wouldn't say like this 1 year has been a waste, like being in lockdown, because I have formed a crew that I call family and that I know are going to be my friends for the rest of my life.
Jessica Ng, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, he's not Instagram famous yet, but video of a bold bird in southwestern Ontario is gobbling up views online and causing traffic mayhem. Tommy the turkey has been darting into the road, but it's not to get to the other side. Residents in the community near Windsor have their own ideas about why.
He's been spotted around town before. I've seen him around town before. I've actually been stopped by him before. I happened to be in the air trying out some new things, and I could hear people honking out front of my house. So I flew my drone over the road, and there's Tommy the turkey. Sometimes he gets aggressive. He'll come at you. It just depends on what kind of mood he's in that day. And when they see the turkey in the road, it's like, there's Tommy the turkey. He's out there again, pecking at the cars, stopping everybody. He's like running his own ride program out there. He used to have a mate, and I think when he had his mate, he wasn't so aggressive with the cars, but nobody really knows what happened to the other one. It's like now that the other one's not there, he's going after the cars, and I've been told and read online that it's because he sees his reflection in the car, so he's kind of looking for his mate. But they probably do need to do some kind of control with them, because it's dangerous, and I'd hate to see him get hit, because people have become attached to him for him being around for so long now.
From a wandering turkey to a moose taking a dip. A Quebec homeowner was shocked to find this guy in their pool. Earlier, it had been spotted wandering through the streets of town. It took 8 police officers and 4 wildlife agents to get it out. Now, they were able to tranquilize it and move it to safety. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.